Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Chad and Raef Podcast. Welcome back to the Chad and Raef Podcast. Woo! Episode 13.
Let's go. We're back for another episode.
Yeah, this is a good one. We have a lot of NFL news, a little NBA news, as well as the reaction to the college football playoff championship.
Yep. And so, a lot of news this week, according to the NFL. A lot of things have gone down in the playoffs. We got a couple of upsets, and Chad and I's pick'ems were wrong on a couple of them. We will honestly say that. But
yeah.
We're going to talk about the one that gets hurt, that hurts the most for us, especially. Let me just adjust my mic real quick so it's more pointing towards my face. But to start with the playoffs, we have the biggest one, number 6 Washington upsets number 1 seeded Lions 45-31 in that game. Goff throws 3 interceptions in this game.
Yeah, I think that's the worst part. Is, I mean, if you take away the 3 turnovers, and if you score at least 14 to 17 points, it's a tie game.
Mm-hmm. I think it also came to just with a lot of the injuries coming into play, and their defense not being where it was earlier this year.
Right.
And then Goff his concussion, which I think he was a lot more concussed than what people were giving us.
Yeah, I think it is a combination of things. I think you can't just put it on Jared Goff. I mean, the Lions' defense just got slaughtered, literally and figuratively, throughout the season. And it was a shootout, and the Commanders just had a little more juice.
Mm-hmm. And after just watching this game, I think Jalen Daniels firmly plants himself as the Rookie of the Year after this game.
Jaden Daniels? Yeah. He is the Rookie of the Year. Undisputed. He should honestly be a unanimous Rookie of the Year. Like, I like Brock Bowers. I like Bo Nix even. But Jaden Daniels is in uncharted territory. He's in... I saw this stat. You'll like this, Raef. You'll like this, okay.
I'm ready. Let's hear it.
How many playoff wins does Dak Prescott have?
I know what stat you're talking about now. I saw this earlier today. Let's see. I think he has 3 or 4. I want to say 4. 3.
I'm pretty sure Dak Prescott has 3. Guess how much Jaden Daniels has? 2.
I was like, yeah, he only has 2. Only 2 that I know of.
Right. The fact that Jaden Daniels has almost surpassed and at least tied Dak Prescott in playoff wins really goes to show how the sad organization the Cowboys are. When's the last time the Cowboys made it to the NFC Championship?
Sometime in the 1990s.
Yeah, dude. The Commanders and Jaden Daniels. First year with Jaden.
First year with Dan Quinn.
Oh, man. They got themselves a good future, I will say that. And if they somehow, we'll talk about who wins the Eagles-Rams game, but if they somehow beat the Eagles and make it to the Super Bowl, I said this earlier this week. I said if the Washington Commanders win the Super Bowl, I will get a tattoo. Somewhere is something. I swear. If I will hold true to my word. I will literally get a tattoo if the Commanders win the Super Bowl.
We will post a picture of it on our Instagram, so stay tight.
Yeah, stay tuned if the Commanders do, but they have to get past the Eagles and then either the Chiefs or the Bills. So it's probably not going to happen, but I'll put it out there for fun.
Honestly, yeah. But I definitely believe the Lions will be back next year. This just kind of adds to the fire.
Yeah, a lot of their star pieces, a lot of their core pieces are coming back. They are losing both coordinators, though.
Mm-hmm. And we'll talk about that in a little bit after we get through the rest of the wild card.
Divisional round.
The divisional round. But we'll continue on this for right now, and then we'll kind of talk about what happened to both of their coordinators. But the next game that happened for the NFC is the Eagles fend off the number 4 Rams on the Rams' last drive, 28-22. And this game was an interesting game, not gonna lie. This was one of those games that I honestly thought the Rams could maybe win it.
Yeah. I liked the picture. It was like the beginning of the first quarter and then the end of the game. Just the snow, of how much snow came down in Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
And when the Eagles had that bigger lead, I literally turned the TV off and went over to my parents' house on Sunday. And then I got there and I'm like, oh, wait, what? The Rams are in it? And then they blow it there at the end. Like so I turned it off right when Saquon had that big rushing touchdown. I was like, oh, this game's over. And then I get to my parents' house and it's a game again. I'm like, what the freak? All this happened in like 5-10 minutes? It's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You definitely can make the argument that Saquon is definitely the engine of this offense, because if you can stop Saquon and you have to put the game in Jalen Hurts' hand. I like Jalen Hurts. I think he's a great quarterback, but he just, for some reason, has struggled these past 2 weeks.
Yeah, he's been a shell of himself, but it hasn't affected his team too badly. He's still putting up decent numbers, I would say. And I'd make the argument.
Mm-hmm.
He only had like 120-something passing yards.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it wasn't nothing crazy spectacular. But remember last year in the Super Bowl, he put up like, 300-something yards total?
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes time for Jalen Hurts to take it to the next level, he still delivers. I will give him that. So we'll see what happens, though, this week, because they do play the Commanders, and they split the series. 1-1.
That is true. And we've talked about this multiple times. I did bring up the thing that Kenny Pickett was their starting quarterback when he was hurt.
Yes.
But with a hopefully healthy Jalen Hurts and a fully healthy Commanders team, this will be a game to watch. This will be a good NFC Championship.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Honestly, we could do pick'ems in here in a little bit, but it'd be fun for either or, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Now to the AFC side. We're not going to talk too much about this. The number 1 Chiefs beat the number 4 Texans.
Woo, good job.
I was
the
like,
shorthanded Texans lost.
Mm-hmm. I was like, there's not too much to really talk about that game. We all kind of knew that the Texans were going to lose this game.
Except their head coach was even like talking about how bad the refs were. You know it's bad when the NFL commentators are also commenting on it, saying, really? That's a call? Because regardless of what you want to say or not, I mean, it keeps stacking on the Chiefs with all these calls.
Mm-hmm.
You can go back to when they played the Raiders and some of their calls. You can go back to legit anything. It doesn't have to necessarily be what people are calling the Swifty era of the Chiefs. You could go back to the other championship runs and playoff runs, and you could still be like, yep, they're still getting the calls. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, you definitely see it, especially with certain, like, I almost said analysis, certain officials that are officiating on the field. You see it a lot more with certain ones, like, because I remember seeing this stat line with Patrick Mahomes with certain, like, refs on the field.
Oh, yeah?
I can't remember the specific name of the ref, but there's one specific ref that anytime Mahomes, like, has him as, like, the head ref, he always gets the calls he wants.
Yeah. I remember seeing something like that.
It's just funny now because it's like the NFL's not even trying to hide it.
Yeah, it's a tough watch, but also as much as I hate to say it, it makes sense, right? Because that's what's going to sell money. That's what's going to increase viewership. If your best team, like, it just sucks because it just seems so obvious. So that's what makes it hard.
Mm-hmm. And it sucks for everyone that's like an actual diehard fan of the NFL because you're like, oh, we want something different. We want to actually see something fun. But they're like, oh, Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league. The Chiefs are the number 1 team in the league right now. let's
Yeah.
give them all the spotlight.
But you also got to give credit to the Chiefs because this league, the NFL right now, and because of the rules and contracts and all that stuff, there's a lot of parity.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that the Chiefs have been super consistent for the last, I guess, Mahomes' era, the last 7 years since he became a starter, that's a impressive feat.
Mm-hmm.
Calls or not, refs on their side or not, it's still an impressive feat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's definitely a different era, especially now, because I think what pisses a lot of people off is that the fact that we went from Brady's reign of terror to immediately to Mahomes. Like, I think a lot of us just thought, oh, now that Brady's done, he's gone, we're gonna actually get different quarterbacks in the Super Bowl now, and
Right, we literally had a Brady versus Mahomes Super Bowl.
mm-hmm. And we were all hoping that, oh, now that Brady's gone, we're done. We can finally have new teams in the Super Bowl. We don't have this dominance of Peyton Manning, Ben Roethlisberger, Tom Brady, Drew Brees. We don't have any of those quarterbacks anymore. We're actually going to get some of the new guys, the younger guys, to finally step up and be these quarterbacks that are winning Super Bowls. But instead of doing that, we go right back into another reign of terror with Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah. But it also would be cool to see a 3-peat. I won't lie. I'll put that out there. It'd be cool to see a 3-peat.
And the best part, that's coming from a Raiders fan.
Yeah, it would be cool to see because that's history. That's never been done before. But also at the same time, I don't want it to happen. So,
Mm-hmm. It's one of those things. It's definitely one of those things where it's like, you want it to happen because it's history. It's the first time it's ever been done in the NFL. But at the same time, you're like, can it be anyone other than the Chiefs?
Yeah. For sure.
Mm-hmm. And now to talk about their opponent. The number 2 Bills head to Arrowhead after a game-sealing drop by the number 3 Ravens tight end, Mark Andrews. The Bills win this game 27-25.
Yeah. There was a lot of memes about Mark Andrews, and I felt super bad because he has been a very solid option for the Ravens for many years now, and it just looked bad in this game because he had a fumble earlier in the game, which could have led to points, which could have even been avoided this situation. And then,
Mm-hmm.
wide open for the 2-point conversion, and he drops it in the end zone.
Well, I will say this about that drop. That is definitely one of the more harder catches to make.
Yeah, he had to reach back.
Because you're catching it at, like, your stomach, your hip.
Yeah. I don't blame
not only
it.
that, you're moving one direction while you're also falling backwards.
Right, you're going this way, and you have to turn back and get it. Like, it is hard. So yes, you could make the argument that Lamar Jackson should have led it, right? Threw it ahead of him instead of behind. But it just sucks because I was cheering for the Bills, but I expected the Ravens to win, so I was like, okay, here we go. Wow, he dropped it. Because he was wide open.
Yeah, he was definitely open. I will say this too, you can't blame this loss just specifically on Mark Andrews. He definitely contributed to it, but this was 100% a team loss. Lamar had his moments where he took either a sack, he had the fumble, his interception. This isn't just Mark Andrews' loss. This is a team loss.
Yeah, there was a couple drops. There was Mark Andrews' drop, Lamar's drop, and then didn't Hill have a drop too, their running back?
I think so.
Someone else had a drop. They had 3 turnovers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, it just sucks because it's like you take those away. Very similar situation to the Lions game. It's like, man, what could possibly been a more dominant win for the Ravens turn out to be a loss for the Ravens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I will definitely say this. This was a close game. We were definitely hoping. I definitely thought the Ravens were going to win this one, especially with how they played the Bills earlier this year, which again does not matter at this point.
35-10 in the season.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy.
But Allen is going on his MVP tear. He wants that MVP, but I think we all know that it's most likely going to go to Lamar.
Yeah, Lamar will probably win his 3rd MVP, But if Josh Allen's able to upset the Chiefs at Arrowhead Stadium this Sunday, oh man, I am so excited for that.
Mm-hmm. And so with that, we're gonna go into pick'ems. So if I'm right, Chad and I had basically all the same picks. We both had the Lions beating the Commanders, and we both had the Ravens beating the Bills. So if I'm right, we're both 2-2 this week.
Yeah.
So, but
let's hear your pick'ems first. Let's hear your pick'ems first.
I'm going with basically the simple ones. Eagles, Washington Commanders. I'm going Eagles because I think the Eagles will end up steamrolling the Commanders. I do think it will be either a close game or a blowout, one of the two. And then Chiefs, Bills. Give me the Buffalo Bills. I want the Bills. I'm taking the Bills. I think the Bills actually this time have a chance to win this game with especially how weak the Chiefs offense has been. They have a chance to actually do it this year.
The Chiefs' only loss was to the Bills, so it'd be kind of ironic if they were to lose again to the Bills. Just shows you like that the Bills have the exact formula to beat the Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
So, you ready for my pick'ems?
Let's hear it.
Okay, Chiefs, Bills. I'm also going to go Bills. Not only do I want to see Josh Allen in the Super Bowl, but I also want to see him up against the Commanders in the Super Bowl.
I knew that was coming.
Man, oh man, I'm riding with the Commanders now. They beat the Lions, so you cheer for the team that either is hoping to beat that team or it just shows you how dominant that team is that beat your team. So I'm going to go with the Commanders beating the freaking Eagles, and here's why. Okay? Another honorary moment here. Let's see if I can get this one right too, because everyone was flaming me about the Notre Dame thing. Now, if I get flamed for this one, so be it. The Commanders are going to upset the Eagles, and here's why. If it comes down to the defenses subtract each other and the offenses subtract each other, who do you trust more to have a more better dominant performance right now? Jaden Daniels or Jalen Hurts?
Ooh, that's a good one. If I'm expecting dominance, the quarterback I do expect to take over a game is Daniels.
Right. In this very moment, this year, Jaden Daniels will have a better game than Jalen Hurts. And if everything works out, the Commanders are going to upset the Eagles. Oh, gosh.
Hey, let's pray they beat the Eagles and they beat whoever plays in the AFC so we can get Chad a tattoo.
Get Chad a tattoo. Hashtag Chad's getting a tattoo. But yeah, the Commanders are going to beat the Eagles.
All right, yep. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're locking that in. That's locked in. Those are our picks.
Commanders are beating the Eagles.
I'm excited. This will be interesting because this will be like the first Super Bowl they've been in since like I think it was either the 80s or the 90s.
Yeah, it'll be a long time for the Commanders. So, Oh gosh, here we go.
Let the comment section be nice to you this time.
Nah, dude, let them at me. It's fun.
All right. Well, that's our pick'ems for this week. Now, just time to get into some head coaching news. We got a good amount of it. Or head coaching, well, just coaching in general, because we do have one other one that is not a head coach, but an offensive coordinator hire.
Yeah.
The Bears are finalizing a deal right now to hire the Lions offensive coordinator, Ben Johnson.
Yeah, this is huge. I saw Caleb Williams' reaction, and he was all giddy for it, like a little kid at Christmas. So you already have that chemistry going and that confidence. So I'm excited for the Bears with Ben Johnson as well as with Caleb Williams because it seems like he wants to buy in and help Caleb Williams.
And in all honesty, the Bears are the best free agent coaching spot right now. If I'm being genuinely honest, because they have Caleb Williams who can prove this season that he's the franchise quarterback that Chicago has been looking for years. They have DeAndre Swift, who's coming off of a pretty good season. They have DJ Moore and Romo Doomsday. They have Cole Kmet. They have the 10th overall pick. They have Montez Sweat and Jalen Johnson. Almost forgot his name for a second. And then they have the 10th overall pick in this year's draft.
They have a lot going for them. If they can build that O-line and Ben Johnson can unlock Caleb Williams, it'll be a good threat for them.
Mm-hmm. I think the one thing I'm most excited for is the Bears-Lions games. Those games are going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, they should be more competitive, especially since Ben Johnson came from the Lions.
Mm-hmm. Those teams, I think forever now, are just interlinked because you see it mostly just between because you had both the St. Browns who played both for the Bears and the Lions, because you had Amon-Ra and then Iniquim. I can't say his name. His older brother, both play for the Lions, or have played for the Bears and the Lions.
Right.
And now that you have their offensive coordinator, now the head coach of the Bears, it's just going to get more and more interesting. These two teams are just going to be forever intertwined.
Division rivals forever and ever.
Mm-hmm. And I know Lions fans are not happy about this hiring.
Yeah, if I'm a Lions fan, I'd be a little sad, because we'll talk about the defensive coordinator here in a second. But both coordinators gone, you're like, ooh, that sucks.
Mm-hmm. I will say this, if that's your biggest loss this season, that's pretty good for losses right there.
Yeah, we talked about it earlier. If you're able to keep your roster intact and then just get some new elite coordinators somehow, some way, then yeah, you're doing okay.
I think the Lions will do it. But speaking of their defensive coordinator, the Jets are hiring Lions defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn as their next head coach.
That's also a really good option for the Jets. I like this hiring a lot. The Jets have an interesting offseason, in my opinion, if Aaron Rodgers is coming back, if Devontae is leaving, or if he's staying, right? Because isn't he a free agent as well, Devontae?
I think he's got, 1 or 2 more years on his deal.
So they could trade him away, right?
100% sure.
For money. But yeah, there's a lot of the Jets' interest right now for me, because are they going complete rebuild, start from scratch with Aaron Glenn, or are they going to try and buy in once again with Aaron Rodgers?
Mm-hmm. I think this move as well is also to show, look, we traded for Aaron Rodgers and everything. We had Robert Saleh. We were trying to make Aaron Rodgers happy. I think this move right here is straight up the owner just saying, Aaron, we do not give a crap on who you want as your offensive or as your head coach. We are hiring who we want, and you can just deal with it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Because I saw something about about his interview. Basically, their plan was to let him come into the building and never let him walk out.
Yeah.
Because that's how much they wanted Aaron Glenn as their head coach. And I know that they needed to pounce on him because New Orleans also wanted him a lot, because he's a former New Orleans Saints cornerback.
Did not.
So he has ties to both the Jets and the Saints, because the Jets actually drafted him, while the Saints he primarily played for.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Well, good for him.
Mm-hmm. And I just think it's funny that they go from one defensive-minded coach to another.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then another coaching news, the Vikings re-signed Kevin O'Connell to a multi-year contract extension, which if I'm a Vikings fan, I'm excited because he has only brought success to this team since he's come over from the Rams.
Yeah, Kevin O'Connell is a good golden nugget for the Vikings. Yes, there was a little bit of, I would say, disappointment in this season and how it ended, but you still have a lot to ride high on. Keep your heads up high, because you still have one of the best offensive lines I've seen. Sure, it kind of crumbled there.
Then again, they were also terribly injured on that line too.
Right, but fully healthy, really solid offensive line, which allowed for Sam Darnold to really excel because he was able to sit in the pocket. But yeah, going into next season, I think the Vikings will be revitalized and they'll be a threat once again.
With their new franchise quarterback, J.J. McCarthy.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. J.J. McCarthy will be a fun watch, I will say, for the Vikings.
I also just want to bring this up because I've seen so many memes at this point. Because we've seen so many pictures of JJ McCarthy with his hair just all grown back, and everyone's like sitting there like, holy crap, he looks like Revenge of the Sith Anakin Skywalker.
Bro is going through his arc right now.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's even funnier because if you think even more about it, Sam Darnold can also be considered to look a little bit like Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah.
And so I just think it's funny because it's like, oh, Obi-Wan's training the Chosen One.
There you go.
So
who knows? Star Wars nerd moment for you guys.
Yep. Had to nerd out a little bit about Star Wars. But yeah. Now, this next thing, Chad might get a little triggered by me saying his name. Patriots are hiring former Raiders head coach Josh McDaniels as their head coach.
Say his name. Don't say his name. That guy ruined us. Good for the Patriots. He's actually a really good offensive coordinator. Terrible head coach.
Mm-hmm.
So glad he's going back there with the Patriots. So good for him.
Mm-hmm. He's a great offensive coordinator. Terrible head coach.
I can't stand that man. He ruined so many good things. He ruined Derek Carr.
Mm-hmm. Ruined Derek Carr. Josh Jacobs had a good year under him. I will say that.
Yes, Josh Jacobs was more unlocked with him, so that was good. Mm-hmm. But other than that,
the rest of the team just was not it. I will say this, though. History does seem to repeat itself. The Patriots just cannot seem to move on from Josh McDaniels. Robert Kraft just loves Josh McDaniels, especially just as the offensive coordinator. Back when Mac Jones was the quarterback, Mac Jones had his best year, his rookie year, when Josh McDaniels was his OC.
Yeah, like I said, he's a great offensive coordinator. He just don't put him as a head coach.
Mm-hmm. And we know one thing for sure: Vrabel is not going to let Josh do anything in that team.
Oh yeah, Vrabel, whatever. He's definitely going to control.
Mm-hmm. Because we've seen him have success outside of the Patriots organization. That's the funny thing, is because he's the only part of Belichick's coaching tree that has not tried to be like Belichick.
Right. Do his own thing.
Do his own thing. You know him as a run-heavy head coach. He likes having good defenses. And so I think we're going to see Drake May take a step forward with the play action and him being able to run the ball efficiently. So they're definitely going to be building up this offensive line this offseason.
Yeah, it'll be good for the Patriots. They need a little refresh. Post-Belichick, post-Brady era has been a little rough.
Yeah, a little bit. But that's basically all of our coaching news right now. We do have some other news that I do want to talk about a little bit.
Yeah.
So the other news is... Oh, sorry.
No, I just wanted to say, I saw the Khalil Mack thing. I got a notification about that, deciding that he will enter free agency and will not retire. So where would you like to see Khalil Mack play next year?
Bring him back to the Raiders.
That would be cool.
Come home, Khalil. Come home.
He could play a similar role to what Von Miller does for the Bills, where he comes in on certain plays, and I'd love that. A dual threat with Khalil Mack and Max Crosby. Oof.
Don't forget about Christian Wilkins.
Yes, and Christian Wilkins. Man,
that Raiders might have one of the scariest defensive fronts.
Yeah, but that's only if we go after Khalil Mack. But if there's other things available, if I'm the Raiders, I would look there first.
Mm-hmm. But then again, Khalil did have his best years as a Raider.
Yeah, I think he had like one good year with the Bears, one, maybe two, but best years at the Raiders for sure.
Mm-hmm. Bring him home. Then, kind of going back over to LA, the future of the Los Angeles Rams offense is uncertain right now. Because two of their key pieces, Cooper Kupp, could possibly be back on the trade block after being not existent in the playoffs. And as well, Matthew Stafford is mulling over retirement.
Yeah, that's pretty depressing because those are your two biggest pieces for your Super Bowl run in 2021? Is that what it was?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Cooper Kupp had an amazing year in 2021.
I think the funny thing is a lot of people were like, "Oh yeah, no, he peaked. He's one and done, and now he's just washed." Which I can agree. He has his moments where he shows up as Prime Cooper Cup again, but there have been times where has seemed pretty washed.
Yeah, some dropped passes here and there and stuff.
Mm-hmm. But when he's healthy and available, he's one of the best wide receivers in the league.
I mean, to still have that dual threat of Cooper Cup and Puka Nacua, that's still insane. I mean, Puka's got some crazy catches already, like 2 years into the league, and even in the game against the Eagles, he had that crazy first down catch. I'm like, this dude is just out here playing football. Didn't even know that he was in the NFC West and like stuff like that. And you're just finding out like, okay, this guy really is just a baller and just wants to be out there on the field.
Mm-hmm. I will say this: if Bro keeps this up, he's going to get a payday.
Yeah, he will be a wide receiver one if he keeps this up.
Mm-hmm. Whether it's with the Rams or whether it's with someone else, he's gonna get a bag.
Yeah, for sure. And then Matt Stafford, thinking about retirement.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's apparently mulling it over. He's basically accomplished everything, in my opinion, that a quarterback would want. He has the stats. He has his Super Bowl ring. Doesn't have an MVP, though. But still, in my opinion, Matthew Stafford will go down as one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time.
Whoa. Really?
One of them. I'm not saying the best quarterback of all time, but he will go down as one of those best quarterbacks
like
of all time.
Top 25?
I'd put him in the top 25.
Yeah, that's fair. I'd put him somewhere in the 20s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not saying he's a top 10 quarterback of all time.
Okay, I just wanted to make that clear and sure. I was about to be like all right.
Top 25 best quarterbacks in the NFL.
Matt Stafford at like 24.
Matthew Stafford at 24, 25. Somewhere in the 20s.
Okay, all right.
Mm-hmm. But it'll be interesting to see because that will actually put the Rams in a hole. Because they're like, oh, shoot, what do we do at quarterback now?
Yeah. What is their pick?
I know they're in the teens. They're either teens or late 20s.
Here's what I do then. Go after Jackson Dart.
Ooh. Okay. So for the viewers, Chad is really high on Jackson Dart right now.
He's going to surprise people at the draft. I'm telling you. And I feel like he would honestly make so sense at the Rams. You put him in there, in that system, Jackson Dart can fling the ball just like Matt Stafford.
Mm-hmm.
And
he has a big arm.
Yeah, they play fairly similar. Oh my gosh. I think we just found where Jackson Dart should want to go and where the Rams should want him to go.
Mm-hmm. Now here's the real question. Do you draft him in the first round or do you try to get him in the second?
If he's available in the second, then yes. But if you get word or news that another team is thinking about it, that are like a couple picks after you, I would jump on the opportunity. And then if you do trade Cooper Kupp, you can fill in some more pieces there. But
Yep.
You need a quarterback in this league.
Mm-hmm. And according to Chad, Jackson Dart is that answer.
Yeah, I will be bold on that. If they don't draft him, it's whatever. Matt Stafford plays again, right? But if this is a route, and we'll see once the draft comes, if they do draft Jackson Dart, I'm riding high on him.
There we go. Well, to continue on, the one last thing from the NFL that I do want to talk about is the Jaguars finally fired their general manager, Trent Baalke.
Yeah.
And I was talking with one of my friends. He was telling me, because he's a Niners fan and he knows Trent Baalke. He was like, dude, Trent Baalke is a terrible GM. And I agree with him. With some of the moves that the Jaguars have made these past couple years, not the greatest moves.
No, glad they're clearing house there because it'll be a good reset for them.
Mm-hmm. So they're now in the head coach and the GM search. So
yeah.
All right. Next up, I think our next segment is just the NBA. Not too much today, since me and Chad were talking. It is kind of that dead week or dead water spot where nothing's really going on. We're waiting for All-Star Weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you can make the argument that no one's really waiting for All-Star Weekend anymore because it's not that interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, Jimmy Butler has been suspended for 2 more games. He did actually play the other night for the Heat, but he did not get on the plane for their road trip for these next 2 games, and so he was suspended. And to kind of go along with that, the Suns acquire 3 draft picks from the Utah Jazz. And I feel like the Suns will use that in a trade package for possibly Jimmy Butler or others. But
Mm-hmm.
so it's all kind of correlating because this legit, like, Jimmy Butler got suspended and then like the trade happened, or vice versa, I can't remember. But it all like is leading to this moment where Jimmy Butler to the Suns almost seems inevitable, but nothing has yet to actually happen. So we'll see.
I will bring up this fun thing that I did see about Bradley Beal, because we know he's going to be part of the trade.
He has to be, yes.
Mm-hmm. Here's the thing that I saw, and I meant to send this to you. Bradley Beal did waive his trade clause for 1 team. And it's not the Suns, and it's not the Heat, but the Milwaukee Bucks.
Yes, that's right. The Bucks are actually more or less aiming for Bradley Beal now than Jimmy Butler, since Jimmy doesn't want to go there.
Mm-hmm. And so it's going to be interesting because now it might not just be a trade between the Suns and the Heat. It might be the Suns, the Heat, the Milwaukee Bucks, and maybe some other team. A 4-team trade could be in the works right now.
We could go crazy into the fantasy and be like, yo, 4-team trade away this all-star, all-star. I'll switch them, crank it a few times, and spit them out, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's obviously just fantasy talk. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see, though, because the trade deadline is legit like a few days after All-Star break, if I remember correctly.
It's sometime in February. I know
it
that.
It is coming up fairly soon, though. So, and that's actually one of my favorite times to talk about news is trade deadline for the NBA, because a lot happens. Like, you think a lot happened with the NFL?
Just wait.
Get ready, because we might legit have a whole segment of just NBA trade news and like talks of why this helps or doesn't help certain teams, because legit a lot happens at the NBA trade deadline.
Mm-hmm. I will say this. I saw this notification about the Jazz making a trade. I was like, please tell me
Walker Kessler is on the trade block, and you know it.
Oh, I know he is. And I work for UCCU, and that will break my heart because it's like, dang, he's our sponsor and everything. We're trading.
He's like legit your mascot almost at UCCU. Mm-hmm. UCCU is a bank here in Utah, in case you didn't know. And Walker Kessler is like the man for that company.
And I work for that company. I work for the bank. I have a signed basketball from him that I won, but it will break my heart if we trade him.
Yeah, but it is looking like a very good piece offering, though. If I'm the Lakers, I'm looking at Walker Kessler and be like, yeah, I'll go for him. Lakers always need a freaking center. It's like they don't realize that in order to win, you need a center in this league, because that's when that happened when they did. They had JaVale McGee and Dwight Howard. But
bring back Dwight Howard.
You know, he's still a free agent technically as well. So and there is a couple free agent signings as well during the NBA trade deadline. So, as well as some end of season pickups as well right before playoffs. So we'll keep you in tune. That'll be in the next few months, though. So nothing crazy right now.
Mm-hmm. Again, bring back Dwight Howard.
I would like to see Dwight Howard return once again to at least the NBA on some team, but I would hope for the Lakers.
Utah Jazz. There we go. That's what we'll do. We'll pick up in our dreams.
Maybe yours.
Maybe mine.
Just yours.
But we pick him up and then we trade Walker Kessler. There you go. Both sides.
Bro, you're putting yourself 5 years back if you do that. Oh gosh.
Definitely. But yeah, fun stuff in the NBA that's going on right now. But time to wrap it up with everyone's favorite, college football. We had the national championship this week, and Ohio State won the championship over Notre Dame 43-23. Or 34-23.
Yeah. I just said that the Notre Dame would make it to the championship. I didn't say they'd win. Just want to put that out there. Because I originally had Notre Dame versus Texas in my bracket, and I was like, oh yeah, Texas is going to win. So, Ohio State, good for them. I like the comments when they won. They're like, well, you guys still lost to Michigan, because all the Michigan fans were all super salty about it. It's so funny.
Well, the best part is Michigan won the year before, and I'm willing to bet the Ohio State fans were just as salty.
Yeah. It's just a back and forth rivalry that will go down in history and will still be one of the biggest rivalries in college football to the future, for the years to come. So, yeah. In terms of this game, it was rough, and then it got rougher, and then it got close, and then it sadly ended.
Yeah. The game started off great. Notre Dame took a 7-0 lead with I was right. It's like an 18-19 play drive. Riley Leonard finally just ran it in, and then after that, their offense just...
Yeah, until like the second half.
Third or fourth quarter, when they finally turned it on.
Yeah. We got some MVPs as well from the game.
Yeah, we have, since Ohio State won, quarterback Will Howard won offensive MVP with 17 of 21 passing attempts, 231 passing yards, 2 passing TDs, and 57 rushing yards. And then their linebacker, Cody Simpson, won defensive MVP with 8 tackles and 1 tackle for a loss.
Cody Simon.
Oh, yeah, Cody Simon.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, Cody Simon won the defensive MVP. It just seemed like a very dominant game for Ohio State. I was going into the game, I was like, yeah, Ohio State is going to wreck Notre Dame. I'm sorry. And Notre Dame had a chance, but then they ultimately blew it.
I am going to call this right now. Notre Dame's wide receiver, Newhouse, is going to be something. He is going to be a future first-round wide receiver.
Yeah, he was fairly dominant in their win, or in their loss, but he was still dominant for a personal stats standpoint.
And I will say this, he's only like a sophomore. He's going to get better. And I expect this next year with Riley Leonard heading to the NFL, I think they're going to be a little bit more pass happy since their backup quarterback's more of a pocket passer. Newhouse is going to shock some people, and he's going to be one of the best wide receivers coming out of college.
Yeah, Jaden Greathouse.
Yep, Jaden Greathouse.
Yeah.
Newhouse. But close. Yes, Jaden Greathouse is going to be a phenomenal wide receiver for Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is all we have for you guys this week. We hope you guys enjoyed this week's episode, found some funny parts of us talking about randomly bringing up Star Wars and me mispronouncing players' names. But we hope you guys have a great week. Hopefully everything's going great for you. Chad, anything you got to say?
Well, I would say the Go Lions, but go Commanders now. We're riding high with the Commanders. Yep. Washington
and Commanders. W's in the chat. No. But I will say this, since all America's hoping for this, let's go Buffalo.
Yep. Let's go Bills. For sure.
Thanks for listening, and make sure to check us out on Instagram and Facebook for behind the scenes, and as well, check out our new YouTube channel as well. We'll be posting actual video of us talking, so you guys will actually be seeing us talk on our podcast now.
Yeah, leave a like, subscribe, turn on post notifications for YouTube, as well as for our podcast on Apple, Spotify, and yeah, leave a comment on our Instagrams or anything, and yeah, we'll try and reach out. We want to obviously do more guest appearances on our podcast as well, so stay tuned for a bunch more stuff. We are continuing to do this.
And just so you guys know, I'm working on some stuff. I might have some connections.
Rafe is cooking, as one would say.
Yep. All right. Well, you guys have a great one. Thanks for listening to the Chad and Raef Podcast.